And we're leaving.
We are leaving. Olive, what's happening at Michael Knight in Pasadena, California?
Where are you located? Been doing so much traveling. I don't know where you are these days.
I am en mi casa in Seattle.
Back
It is good
home.
to be home. Good to be back. Um, Exciting to be back. Although I do have to admit that I missed the road.
Yeah.
But I will also admit that I got the last 100 miles, man. I was like, I want to get out of the car.
I've
I want to.
been behind this wheel for several hundred miles.
I wouldn't even drive. My kid was driving, and that was the funny thing about it. Is usually if I'm a passenger, I'm good, But for whatever reason, I just had it. I had it, and I think part of it has to do with
Baseball.
Well, baseball. Actually, baseball was good because we got to listen to a gazillion games. I mean, we were listening to games all over the country. We listened to in one day. We listened to the Giants, the Mets, and the Mariners all in a row because they were all timed. That they all worked out. That there one was Mets was an early game in Philadelphia, and that was sickening. The Giants lost, and that was good. Sorry, but the situation we're in.
I do know that situation. We're dangerously close. We're close, but not that close. 2 games.
Well,
look the beat.
Yeah, and the Mets. Listen, let's go front to back. The Mariners just look like they're on a roll right now. They are. I'll be rooting for the Giants again because I want the Mariners. The Mariners have the Angels in here for the weekend, so they can get healthy on the Angels. They keep winning games. I don't know if you saw my Facebook post, but the Mariners just keep winning games in the bottom of the ninth or the bottom of the 12th or the bottom. They just keep winning those kinds of games.
Torture baseball.
And it's exciting baseball, though. I mean, it does 2 things. It makes me appreciate the guys that they brought in for this team a little bit more. But it also, I got to admit, I just hate. And I know hate is a strong word, but I don't know what other word to use. I can't stand the runner on second base. And I don't care if it benefits my team or doesn't benefit my team. It's the stupidest rule, the stupidest thing that baseball has come up with since the designated hitter.
Because it's such a non-baseball solution to a time-honored tradition of this game goes on for as many innings as it takes. How many? 25, 30 innings, doesn't matter.
Everything that's wrong with the world is that guy standing on second base. Because it's just not right. It is not right. It is a decision that is made by lawyers, not baseball men. Lawyers, not baseball men. And it irks me so much. I get sick watching it on TV. I can't watch extra innings. I have to turn away. I can't watch that guy on second. I'm sorry, but it denigrates the game.
And it's not like they put the guy on at first. They put him on at second, so a Texas leaguer will score him.
Because some weak-ass people want to go home 20 minutes early.
We're tired. We're sleepy.
They start serving beer in the 7th inning. Ooh.
We've done all that we can with this team. We want to go home. It doesn't matter who wins. When you think about it, who cares?
No. And the public, and I'm convinced more than ever, that the public allowing that to happen, that people not staying away in droves from the ballparks when things like this happen, only means that the owners realize that the people that are in the stands are not there for baseball. They're there for show. They're there for entertainment.
But enough already. 9 innings, that's plenty. We got to go.
Right. They may as well put a Broadway freaking play on for 2 hours and 32 minutes, which is about the time of, because America's attention span, and it's partially what's wrong with this country, America's attention span has gone to this.
Maybe you need the banana socks from Savannah.
Oh, they're coming. I won't go see them. I don't care. I don't care if they send a yellow limo for me. I think, I think it's fun, but I think that's what people want out of baseball. Now, I like Max Patkin when, the clown. I liked King in his court. I thought that was good, but they didn't make a mockery of the game. Although the Savannah Banana, I will say that it looks like it's fun. It looks like people get a kick out of it. It doesn't hurt nobody. They're not like a real team competing in the standings or anything like that. So maybe, but it's just, maybe it's those, and I love yellow, but maybe it's those obnoxious yellow uniforms.
Well, if you want obnoxious uniforms, just pick the alternative home jerseys for most teams. Giants consistently can't come up with anything that doesn't look short of a dog's dinner. It's embarrassing, and that's a mockery. You have beautiful home and travel uniforms, and then you say, but we got an ugly uniform too. And then on some days we have a really totally heinous uniform. We're going to wear that too.
Well, Michael, we're old men. Baseball doesn't care what you and I think anymore. Nobody.
They don't care what anybody thinks.
Yeah, when you think about it, they care what social media says. They care what everything now is run by social media. The car companies, all of the different things.
Even the FBI is. You can just follow them on X.
That we deal with, that is supposed to be sacred to us, the church, our government institutions. It's all social media, and it's the way of the world now. I don't know what it's going to look like 50 years from now, and we won't find out, but I just I feel like we lost something. I really feel like we've lost something, and I guess if you talk to our fathers, 25, well, mine's gone 25 years, but 35 or 40 years ago, they probably would have said the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
That
for something new,
like they were in the 30s.
For something new like the internet to take a whole generation, that takes up some space, and something old like the buggy whip has got to go.
Yeah. It's but I still get enjoyment out of watching the ball game, except if I'm watching the Mets and they lose like they did. I don't see a team in the Mets that's really going to go any place, even if by some miracle, they got the Texas Rangers before, and that just looks like a team that's dead in the water. They had a bust out inning in the first inning yesterday, and then Phillies pitcher shut them down the rest of the game.
Well, the Giants are talking about they've won 13 out of 16, and that's fine, but they needed to win 16 out of 16 because they're still 2 games away from being a real contestant in the wild card, and they're cheering about the fact that they're close. hey, we're really an interesting team. We won a game yesterday, as if that was not what they were supposed to do. Celebrating it as if it was some extraordinary feat when a lot of teams won yesterday. Well, a lot of teams are going to win today, but if it's not you, you're out of the race.
Well, but at least with the Giants, I mean, 4 months ago, you didn't think the Giants were going anywhere. And at least they got a shot now. They got a shot. Who knows? I mean, you get into the tournament, anything can happen now, right? That's
they've got 7 games with the Dodgers between now and the end of the season. It's only 3 or 4 weeks left. 7 of those games are with LA. 3 at home, 4 in Los Angeles. And the season rests on the result of those games.
Well, but then a week ago, the Pirates swept the Dodgers.
It's right. The Dodgers have problems.
A week ago, the Pirates swept the Dodgers. So listen, 2 things. Number one, Robbie Ray is pitching out of his head. So they have a pitching staff leader, which is something that they may not have had over a certain amount of time. And a pitching staff leader will get you places, I think. I think somebody that carries the ball like that goes out there and wins every 4 days, 5 days, whatever kind of rotation they got him on, I think it's nothing but a good thing. It lifts, I think. I don't know what you think. I think that when somebody is pitching like that, it lifts other guys up.
But the 4th pitcher has been a collection of kids and rookies and call-ups who were known for their potential, but who, under the pressure of the show and the end of the season fight for a position in the playoffs, that's where we fall down. We got a collection of 3rd and 4th starters that can't bring it, and that's a damn shame. We got three starting pitchers and a question mark that usually gets answered by a loss. A good example was the guy who pitched this weekend and didn't get out of the first inning. Had 4 outs and 5 runs. So not too inspiring.
Yeah, I turned on that game after he was gone. But again, that's going to happen. I mean, it happens unless you're Sandy Koufax or you're Tom Seaver, that's going to happen to you every once in a while.
And our 3rd starter is Verlander, who's turned out to be a pitcher after all. He still got something.
Yeah, well, I like the old wily ones.
Yeah, they're dangerous, and they're not afraid.
I like the young one. Right. They go, the beauty of Tom Seaver, watching Tom Seaver's career, was that he went from a guy that could throw a ball through a car wash without getting it wet to a guy who could put the ball wherever he wanted to. He didn't have to give you 100 miles an hour, which for those days was, he knew where you weren't going to, he knew where you were going to swing, and he put the ball where you weren't going to swing. Or he put the ball where you were going to swing, where you were going to think it was, but he put the ball down there. He had that. He learned how to be a pitcher. And I think that's the beauty of some of these old guys. Some of these older guys, Verlander, Scherzer. There was a guy, I'm forgetting his name now, but he's been around for 100 years that the Giants have in the bullpen. They pulled him out, and I think he struck out the side at least one inning that I was listening to. He's been with almost every club, I think. But he came out and he learned, he knows how to pitch. And I love listening to that. I love watching that. I love seeing that. Because it means that it's a young man's game, but there's a place in it for the old men too.
For the wily veteran.
You know? There's a place for the guy who doesn't shave every day anymore. You know, there's a place for the for the Jamie Moyers of the world. For the Tom Seaver in his 40s. There's even a place for the Dave LaRoches. The Mets have the opposite going on. They have 3 young pitchers. Tong, I can't remember the other 2 guys' name, but they have 3 young pitchers that could be something. You know, people are talking of them in terms of Isringhausen and Seaver and Kuzman and Gentry and Ryan. I mean, there's three unbelievably good pitchers that, and one of them in one of the games with the Phillies, and the Mets blew it late, but got into trouble in the first couple of innings and settled down and worked his way out of it. And again, I didn't see the game. I only heard it on the radio, but the Mets have the best broadcasting team. The Mets television team is without a doubt Keith Hernandez, Ron Darling, and Gary, I can't remember his last name. No, not Coleman. Gary something or other. Anyway, Hernandez is worth listening to alone. I mean, he's such a historian of the game, and you would have never thought it.
That he knew.
You know, you would have never thought it. But he talks about his dad taking him to Candlestick Park, and he's just and Darling knows pitching is good. And listen, I like our analysts, and what I like about the Mets broadcast team is they're not afraid. You know, they haven't been told by the club, don't say anything bad.
Don't talk about getting those outs.
Don't talk about that, you know.
See if you can call it something but other than an out. Just say there was a play at first. Looks like it's not going any further. Yeah.
They tell it like it is. And it's stunningly beautiful to watch. They alone are worth the price of Major League of MLB TV. They alone to watch them. I'd watch them if they were. Well, I wouldn't watch them if they were broadcasting Yankees games. I wouldn't go against my religion, but they're just a great. I encourage any Mariner fan to go on MLB and listen. I love Rick Riz. I don't love Goldie, but I think he's a good announcer. But I have Dave Niehaus syndrome. I don't think, Dave was Dave. Dave did a radio show that happened to be a baseball game going on at the same time. But I encourage any baseball fan to go on MLB, the app, or on your TV, on your smart TV. The audio for the games are free. Well, you wouldn't get them then. You'd have to get TV. But try somehow to get to listen to the SNY broadcast of Gary and Keith and Ron. They're spectacular. They're the best, man. Certainly the best that the Mets have had in years. And, I like Fran Healy. I grew up on Kiner Murphy and Nelson. Grew up on those guys. But these guys have a New York kind of reality about them. Mm-hmm. Where
they reflect the market.
Yeah, they can say things that they do, and they can talk about pitching the way they do, and they can talk about what a guy has and doesn't have, because They know what it is. And that's what people are listening for. They want people that are listening to that game want the truth about the team. Maybe because many, many, many people that go to that game, that go to those games and listen to those games are baseball fans. They're not going because it's a fireworks show. They're not going because it's Mutt Night or because it's some other thing. They're going because they're baseball fans. And I know I'll get some nasty-ass people that'll send me a message or an email saying, go back to freaking New York, you asshole. But I don't care. You know, the product is a damn good product. And it's what, I don't know. It's the difference between a rah-rah product and really learning about the game of baseball. I learn something every time I listen to Darling and Fernandez. And Gary Cohen is a walking encyclopedia. He remembers crap that I'd never, because he's been doing the games for so long. I mean, they were talking the other night about Craig Swan striking out somebody in 1981. And I was like, I was at that game. I remember that. And they didn't look it up on a computer. Gary knew it, man. Gary. He struck him out on a 3-2 fastball.
And I was sitting right here calling that game.
Yeah. So I was sitting in the booth with Ralph Kiner. He's telling me stories about the girls in Pittsburgh. Talking about Pittsburgh, guess where the Seahawks are this weekend?
I can't imagine. Does it have anything to do with the Steelers?
It has everything to do with the Steelers. So I'll have to watch. If I watch it, I'll have to watch Aaron Rodgers, I guess.
Well, there'll be plenty to watch. That could be quite a game.
Well, I'll reserve judgment on the Seahawks. They were beaten by a less than good 49er team last Sunday. And
they lost at home.
And they lost at home. And they got the Steelers this weekend, the Saints next. And I'm not sure. Like I said, I didn't see the game, so I'm just not really going to say much about it.
Well, the defense can give Rodgers a fit during the day. If they're smart, they'll design a defensive scheme that has him on the run the whole game. Bring him from here, bring him from there. Never give him a chance to get a breath. Tire him out. Still early in the season. They haven't got their game legs. They haven't got their midseason form. And give him hell all day long. That's my advice. No air, no quarter.
Well,
don't let the quarterback breathe. The quarterback must go down, and he must go down hard.
Well, yeah, and I think that's fair, but the Steelers O-line, from what I've read, and again, I haven't been out to camp or anything like that, but Steelers offensive line is seems to be able to give Rodgers the time he needs. And I haven't seen what the safeties and the cornerbacks of the Seahawks have going for them.
That's why I prepared this week with an aggressive defense. That's my best visit to Pittsburgh.
Well, it's always excuse me, now you're making me on. It's always good to watch the Steelers and the Seahawks. It's a rivalry only in the fact that there's a whole lot of Seahawk fans who are still upset that the Steelers won the Super Bowl in 2005. They still believe that it was stolen from them. And so there's that rivalry that exists today from some of the old people. A lot of the people don't know. They go by the, a lot of younger fans. They know the Super Bowl in 2000. The back-to-back years, in the early 2010s. So,
well, Seattle fans are somewhat well known for holding a grudge, whether it's against the NBA or the NFL.
Well, I have every right to hold a grudge against the NBA.
Or just Pete Carroll in general.
I guess Russell Wilson, is he going to be the starter down there this week?
Don't look for Russell to start. No, I think the Giants are going to have to come up with another idea.
Yeah, I think for Russell, it may be
sayonara.
Maybe getting to be time.
Well, I don't know. You look back since the trade to Denver, it's been time.
Well, it was, and I said this all along. I felt sad about that because I just felt if he would have hung on another year, if he would have listened to Pete, if he would have stayed another year, I don't think they would have won a Super Bowl, but he could have said, that's it, I've had a great career. He would have been a great Seahawk. He would have been one of these guys like Largent who, gets celebrated by the fans. Instead, he's got 50% of the fans that don't like him, 50% of the fans that like him. And all the crap that he did in Denver and the way he failed in Denver pretty much ruined his reputation. He was one of those guys.
Because on paper, that looked like it was going to be a good marriage. A team from the West that needed a quarterback, a guy with all of his talent and his escapability and his elusiveness. It's all going to work. It was going to bring a brand new offense to Denver and a new vitality to their offense. And it did none of those things.
Brought nothing. Nothing but pain for the coach. And I think maybe I'm wrong, but when you get to a city like that, like Denver,
Gesundheit.
When you get to a city like Denver, I think that part of the deal is that you don't get fancy right away. You don't do a million commercials, and you go out and you prove yourself for a year. You go out and you play football for a year. But instead, he was getting signed to this commercial, to that commercial, to this, to that, the other thing. And I think it hurt him. Do the charity stuff, do the stuff that the club wants you to do. But don't go doing ads for your wife's fashion line and this stuff and that stuff. I mean, concentrate on playing football. Concentrate on what your main job is. If you don't want to play football, don't play. retire and go be a spokesman for whatever it is you want to be a spokesman for.
Johnny's transmissions.
Yeah, he seemed to be into everything, and he hadn't done nothing in Denver. And so the expectation was that he was going to do something. And what did he do? He hadn't done nothing, as Stevie Wonder so eloquently wrote.
I wonder if the market for local television and radio in New York has treated him similarly, with lots of offers and lots of endorsements.
I don't think so. I haven't heard it. I haven't seen it. Haven't heard anybody tell me about it. Haven't seen. I mean, I watched some of the New York stations, and I haven't seen it. You know, maybe he gets a car deal.
The Giants haven't won in a while in a decisive fashion, so the wait and see factor is a big part of what's going on with the New York Giants right now. Show me you're a winner.
Well, that's I mean, that's the thing. They're hungry for a winner. They certainly haven't had one with the Jets in years. The most exciting thing right now in New York is everybody's talking about the World Cup. That seems to be the big, tickets are going on sale for the World Cup, and that's what people are talking about. And, obviously the Yankees, but they've been struggling too. There's no dominant team right now in New York sports that I can see. When people are talking about the World Cup, when it's a lead story, none of the major league sports are dominating. The Knicks, probably a bit. The Knicks look like they have a lot of promise. I think it should be a good season for them coming up. But the Nets, I don't know. And then, and then basketball does this bizarre thing with the tournament and, trying to copy the NCAA and all of that. So it's all different. It's all, it's, well, I'll go back to the Mariners because I do want to pick out, again, a team that looks like, at the very least, it's having fun playing bait. Look, winning is fun, Michael. I know, we all know. Winning is fun.
It cures everything.
And whatever may have happened, the Mariners have been up and down all year. They get to places and teams they should beat, and they get beat by them. But then, they're starting to beat the teams they should beat. I think they've won 8 out of their last 10. I forget. But they have really hit ground. And again, I want to get to the standings a second because they're not. They're tied for the division lead with Houston. They're 6-4 in their last 10. They've won 6 in a row. They're playing the Angels over the weekend. I don't know who Houston is playing, but from what I've seen of the Angels, they got Mike Trout, and that's it.
And that's been a stretch because he hasn't been healthy for the past couple of seasons. And the Angels are a financial and structural disappointment. Just the whole unit of American League LA play is substandard, and they got a big problem in town called the Dodgers. And if you can't play winning baseball, I don't know what to tell you about your business plan. But the Angels don't present in the offseason as a team that's challenging itself to go someplace and to do something and to acquire players that it needs to fill gaps and to become a competitive American League team. They do not. And until Artie Moreno is out of there as the owner, they will not. They haven't got back to them.
Yeah, they just don't seem to have ever recovered from losing Ohtani.
And they didn't capitalize when they had him.
Yeah, I mean the Dodgers, without a doubt, capitalize on. Have played his hand to perfection.
And he cooperated. He got well, and now his pitching, his home run production was predictable and high.
He's a great player. He's the. I don't know.
His one black eye was the gambling scandal.
Yeah. Which we're going to see a lot more of.
Well, now we've seen it in the NCAA. There are 5 teams involved, including Arizona State, where students are betting on their own teams.
Yeah. And nobody cares. I mean, NCAA will make a big deal out of it, but the fans don't care. I used to think that gambling would ruin sports, and I still think ultimately it will. It'll take the question of who's going to win the game out of it.
And by making it legal to ruin gambling, for that matter, it's just become this all-pervasive gamble all day long. Gamble now, gamble steadily, get your contract going, get your sign up and get your bank account hitched to us. That way we can just withdraw money from your account when you lose.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing. Some of the stories that you see of people who have either been ruined by this, or there's numerous stories about people who have won, and then for some reason the gambling institution has said, well, you really didn't win. We're not going to pay you. What are you going to do about it?
You can't take on Bally. We pay sometimes, and we like to pay, but we just can't pay every time. What kind of a company would we be if we paid all the winners? Doesn't make any sense. You can see that.
So anyway, the Mariners had the Angels. The Giants get the Rangers, right? Or the Mets get the Rangers, I forget. I think the Mets get the Rangers. Let me find the schedule. Reds are in Sacramento. It's an interesting deal, Sacramento. Yankees and the Red Sox. Astros get the Braves. Boy, the Braves are just talk about a team that's fallen from injuries have devastated them.
The Giants have the day off today, and then they have 3 with the Dodgers at home, followed by Arizona, 4 with the Dodgers in LA, St. Louis, Colorado, and the season's over.
The Mets get the Rangers. No, the Giants don't have the day off today. They play the Dodgers. It's Friday.
Isn't it? I thought today was Thursday. Yes, Dodgers tonight, Dodgers Saturday, and Dodgers Sunday.
And is that it for the home season for the Giants?
Pardon?
Is that the end of the home season for the Giants, right?
No, they got St. Louis and Colorado. They finished the season at home with St. Louis and Colorado, the last two teams of the season. But between tonight's Dodger game and the end of the season, they played the Dodgers 7 times. So there is ample opportunity to dominate and make their case for postseason play. The solution to our problems is in our hands, and then we're playing the right teams to make a difference. So let's go Giants. Show them how.
Well, as I always say, Michael, when the Giants come to town,
it's bye-bye, baby.
Bye-bye, baby. So, yeah, I think, obviously I'd like to see the Mets get there.
One thing we can say, it's not early. It's not early anymore.
But, yeah, it's exciting. That's what it is. It's really that exciting part of the season that is
September baseball.
Yeah. It's that kind of baseball that you're on the edge of your seat. Every pitch, every out, everything means something. It's almost like postseason baseball. And it's sad if your team doesn't make it. But what's worse? Let me ask you this. What's worse as a fan? If you do it like the Mets have done it, where you come out of the box with an unbelievable start and all of a sudden, boom, you fall off the table and you struggle and maybe you get into the playoffs by the skin of your teeth? Or is it better the way the Giants are doing it? That, while the Mets were all, sky high, nobody thought the Giants would be doing anything. And then all of a sudden, here they are, not only in the conversation, but playing some pretty good baseball. Which do you like better? What's your poison, Michael?
My poison is substandard baseball is depressing, and good baseball, competitive baseball, is what we need. The Giants got to score runs, hit the damn ball, and be somebody. And they've had that streak, and they're on it right now. But they've got to come to the conclusion that that's the kind of team they are, and expect to win every game. That's something that the Giants have to get into their head. They have to it's showtime. Get out there and win this game. Period.
Yeah, it would be. But again, as we always say in baseball, the season is the great equalizer.
Yeah, can be.
No? I mean, 162 games, which they're now talking about changing, by the way. $162 games is the equalizer. There's nothing like it in sports. When you think about it,
even for a lot of games,
even the 82 games of the NBA or hockey, that's why they let so many teams into the playoffs, because it's a short season that it's almost like 2 seasons. With baseball, it's 1 season. You got to be good over a period of time. And every once in a while, I mean, think about the Mariners 23 years ago winning 116 games. Think about that season and what it took to do that. They didn't have one starting pitcher out of the 5 rotation. None of the pitchers went on a disabled list. Never, ever. I don't think any of the pitchers missed a start.
That's rare.
I can't think of another time it's been done. I'm sure it probably has at some point, especially when there were 4-man rotations and a 154-game season.
And you had to pitch 8 innings if you started a game.
But good God, that was amazing to watch. None of those guys.
And look what that kind of pitching performance provides to a team, the stability and the ability to stay with the winners all year.
Yeah. It was just, it went to, it got to be that when you went somewhere, you expected to win.
That's what I like. That's the mindset that I want when you walk out in front of your dugout to play catch. You're going to win this game.
You guys, when is the last time you saw somebody do that? Remember when we were kids? You get there, everybody out there playing catch, long toss. Pitchers would be out, no more.
Running the stairs.
No more. Sorry, no more.
I'm warm. Well, we're going to find out about that. Remember that rotator cuff you said you weren't ever going to have? Well, you got one because you never did the long throw from center field.
My sports psychologist says that I don't need to warm up. So,
Vinnie, what are you driving?
Mikey, I thought you'd never ask. This is the Audi.
Oh, that's nice.
Look at that, man. Is that a work of art?
Yeah.
I just got it yesterday. I just got into it. I drove it a little bit this morning. And, whoa, this is a fine car. It's the Audi S5.
Got a lot of audio hum with that.
Yeah. I'm going to see if I can knock it down here a little bit.
There you go.
Yeah. This is the Audi S5. And, brother, I think this is an unbelievable car.
I love the color.
It just, the color stands out. The vehicle is as comfortable a vehicle as I've sat in all year. As far as, big sedans go, and this isn't even their biggest, as far as big sedans go, this thing, and let me see if I can get this to do what I want it to do.
The front of it looks like an Audi. The back of it looks like a Nissan.
Don't say that, Michael. Don't say that. You'll get my friends at Audi upset. You will definitely get. Can I go back and erase that?
Yes, you may.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's interesting that you say that. I don't know if I agree with you, but it's, the whole of the car. Well, I mean, this is the problem. A lot of cars, unfortunately, these days, look alike, don't they?
Yeah, too much.
And unfortunately, that's, I mean, speaking about cars, I was in San Francisco and San Mateo this past week, as you know, and it was the attack of the Waymos. And that was kind of, and it took me a little bit to figure out, because they got all this stuff on the car, to figure out that they were using Jaguars.
Wow.
But by the way, look at this. This is the interior in this thing. Look at this. This dashboard is, hang on a second. That's radio. But look at this in front of the passenger. The passenger gets their own screen.
I like it.
So they can change the radio. There's a clock on there. The driver can't see it. It's angled away from the driver. But this is the future.
Everybody gets their own controls.
There's not going to be a, you're not going to go on that drive. I mean, in luxury cars, you're not going to go on that drive and talk to each other. When I go on a drive with somebody, I like to talk to them. I don't know that I listen, except to listen to ball games. On the way back up, now we listen to music on the way down. We're on I-5, but on the way back up, my daughter and I talked. We spent, some hours talking to each other, conversing with each other, getting to see what's going on in each other's lives. While I understand this, because people don't want to drive cars now, they want to drive phones. Everybody wants the interconnectability of knowing what's happening immediately. But I just see a point where somebody's on social media with this thing, and they see something and they hit their husband or boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever, and they drive the car into a pole or something. Luckily, with the Audi, it's so safe that nothing will happen to you. Matter of fact, I don't even know if you could drive this car into a pole. It has lane keeping. It has braking. It has. If you back up and get too close to another vehicle or a person, it stops. If you are driving ahead and you're waiting, somebody comes out, darts out from the crosswalk, it stops. It's got to be at a certain speed, but it's easily one of the safest cars I've ever driven.
And what's the number again? The A5?
No, this is the S5. This is the sports S5 model. And it's really, it's a stunning vehicle. And I am without a doubt going to enjoy this. As a matter of fact, I know this is weird, but this may be one of them weekends when, to be honest with you, I don't watch any sports. I may just go for a ride. A nice long ride.
Joe Riccici Proving Grounds.
362 horsepower. It's not as expensive as look at this. What would you say this car is?
75.
You can well, you know what? You're high. This is a 71,545 at the top end. And for a luxury car, all-wheel drive, 6-cylinder, as I said, 349 horsepower, and the twin turbo on this particular one, actually get this 362 with a twin turbo V6.
Does it come electric?
No, not yet. I think there will be. I know that there's an e-tron 5, I believe. Anything that's a electric Audi is it's called an e-tron. So it's a pretty good ride. Anything else that we have? So I'll be up tomorrow morning at 11. I'll be talking about that.
11 o'clock.
Yes, 11 o'clock. We'll be talking about that Audi. We'll be talking about the Mazda that we took on the road, and what a great road car that was.
Yeah.
That was a really good mid-size road car. Wasn't too big, wasn't too small. It was comfortable. It fit us in nicely. It had power when it needed it.
We cruised through 3 states.
Yeah, from one end to the other. Now, I would have liked to have this on the road. But I know I would have come back with a couple of souvenirs from the California Highway Patrol at the very least. So
they like to write notes so you always remember them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's Michael, it's been 30 years that we've been driving these cars. I mean, the first, of course, 4 or 5 with you, switching cars off and everything. And it's been a pleasure to do this. It's been an opportunity of a lifetime. Very few people have had a chance to do this. Next week I will go down to the Alani Casino in southern Washington, where there are 2 things that are going to be happening, Michael.
The polka party, the pig.
It would be nice if there was a polka party. I would like to attend another polka party before I shuffle off this mortal coil. But I think I'd have to go back to Pennsylvania for that. But there will be our annual Northwest Automotive Press Association event where we test a bunch of cars, really nice cars. We get to drive them around. We get a half hour in each one. They have about 25 cars there. That'll be Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I'll see what we can set up about a Wednesday show from there.
Great.
I know we've done it from there before, so it shouldn't be a problem. And maybe have a couple of the car company people on to talk to them a little bit about what we're driving around. I'm excited to drive the Lucid, which is an electric vehicle that not everybody, but many people seem to be overlooking. And
who makes the Lucy?
Lucid, and Lucid makes it. The I Love Lucid Corporation, located at Desi Lou Studios over on Gower. No, where was Desi?
Desi was on Gower.
It was on Gower, right?
Yeah.
I thought I had that right.
Yesterday, Joyce Randolph died at the age 99.
Oh, she did? I did not know that.
Yep.
I did not see that. The last of the honeymooners. I actually didn't know she was still alive. 99 years old. That was a good run. She was. I mean, I know they had Jane Keane as Trixie for a while, and there was somebody else they had. I can't remember right off the top of my head, but there was another person that played. But she was Trixie.
There were 3 Trixies?
I think there were 3 Trixies. Jane Keane was the first.
They finally got one that stuck.
Yeah. But Joyce Randolph in the original Honeymooners skits, well, in the original skits, it was Jane Keane, and then they brought Joyce Randolph in. And she took over the role. There was this, to us Honeymooner fans, there is no other Trixie.
Right.
She was, it's funny because I was just reading about Ed Norton yesterday, about Art Carney and his struggle with alcoholism and pills. And how after he stopped drinking and stopped taking the pills, he won the Academy Award for Harry and Tonto,
right?
Which is a film that I want to go back and watch. I mean, I remember watching it in 1975 or whatever it was. But I want to go back and I want to watch Harry and Tonto again because if I remember right, that was a hell of a good movie.
If the cat will work with you, You got to have the talent of Art Carney. The cat will just say, "Look, I'm not working with this guy. You'll never work in this town again. I don't care. I'm a cat.
I'm a cat. I don't have to work. Somebody is going to feed me." Well, thank you for the entertainment choice, Randolph. I'll go look at that and put something up on Facebook about it. Also, we lost Mark Volman.
Yeah, great showman, great voice. I always recommend, my favorite Turtle song was Eleanor. Extraordinary harmonies, extraordinary impact. When they hit the hook on that song, it's like,
Eleanor, gee, I think you're swell, and you really suit me well. You're my pride and joy, etc. Do you know that he wrote that song as a joke?
Yes, I believe so.
Yes, the white whale people, which he had a contentious at best relationship with, kept pounding him for a hit. They wanted another Happy Together. Happy Together, if you weren't alive in 1967, you don't know what a huge hit Happy Together was.
Yeah.
I mean, you heard that song. That's one of the, besides the Beatles, you heard that song every 15 minutes. If you went back and forth between WMCA, WABC, and WWDJ, which was the third station that tried to be a rock and roll station for a little while.
Right. Out of Jersey, right?
Yeah. Yes. They were WJRZ, and they switched over to WWDJ. And they had some jocks there. There was I forget who off the top of my head was there, but they had some,
they had Buona Johnny.
Did they have Buona Johnny? They worked out of a shack in the Meadowlands. When the Meadowlands was a swamp.
Transmitter site station.
They were at the transmitter site, and they had a sign that said WWDJ, and it wasn't even up on the transmitter. It was down on the transmitter. They wouldn't go for two signs. But anyway, because I remember passing the studio a couple of times, and I wanted to go in because I figured they'd let me in because I could never get into ABC, and I could never get into MCA. But the guys at WWDJ worked in a garage in the Meadowlands.
They had the door open with a milk crate, keeping it open.
I'd be going to Moonachie or something like that, and go in there and say hello. Bring a couple of cups of coffee and a bacon and egg on a roll, and I'm in.
You're in.
Happy Together was a huge hit, and so White Whale, the record company, they had some great songs in between Eleanor, which I think was 70, wasn't it?
They just didn't have another band. They didn't have anybody else to make money for them.
Right. Well, they had a couple of. I actually have, believe it or not, a CD with the White Whale story on it, and they have a couple of. They might have had Buddha had most of the bubblegum hits, but there was a couple of interesting bands on White Whale. Anyway, probably a bunch of mob guys sitting in an office in the Brill building. So anyway, so Howard Kalin, who was Volman's longtime buddy, they met in high school in L.A., and they, went on to be Flo and Eddie and work with Zappa. They're the backing vocals, in case you don't know it, which you probably do if you listen to this show, but they're the backing vocals on Hungry Heart with Bruce Springsteen. They're backing vocals for many bands in the 70s and 80s.
Great harmonies together.
Great voices. So Kalin goes up to the hotel room, closes the door, locks himself in, gets blasted, and takes apart Happy Together. And says, all right, what is it about this song that makes it great?
The structure.
And he says, well, it's got it completely goes off, makes a left turn with how is the weather? Da da da.
Right.
There's nothing else in the song that that refers to it. So now he's thinking he's got to come up with something,
etc.
That doesn't have anything to do with the rest of the song, but it's the hook that he thinks made Happy Together. Kept people around for that. How is the weather? Ba, 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 ba. And so they come back to the record company and they say, we got it. And he plays Eleanor for them. And they said, that's it.
And it is. They were right.
And they were right. It was, I remember them performing that song on the Kraft Music Hall. And I didn't know at the time it was, this is all stuff that you learn afterwards when you read the books and all of this and all of that. And I loved Eleanor. I love that song for two reasons. Number one, my favorite song, I know we're gonna go a little long, but I want to, if you got the time, I want to talk about this a second. My favorite song from the Turtles was "She'd Rather Be With Me," and I'll tell you why. My brother and I were on a train, and we both loved the Turtles. When I was in junior high school, in Joseph Pulitzer Junior High School, the Turtles were on the Ed Sullivan Show. And Mark Volman, when I was that age, we looked very similar. I had the horn-rimmed glasses. I had that kind of face with the double chin. And we looked similar. And so kids, whether they were kidding around or not, because everybody watched the Sullivan Show on Sunday night. I mean, of
course,
so the joke that was going around school wasn't really a joke. Some of the kids you were on the Ed Sullivan Show last night. We saw you. You were singing with the Turtles. No, yeah, all right. I was singing with the Turtles. Years later, I was the guy in Sha Na Na. So anyway, so we're in homeroom, and people, some guy says to Mr. O'Connor, Vincent O'Connor, our English teacher and homeroom teacher, said, did you know that Vinnie was on the Ed Sullivan Show last night? And he looks, and this guy's an old Irishman. He's, a couple of years from retirement. And he's got the saggy Irish face. His brother was the district attorney that prosecuted Manny Ballestero, Frank O'Connor. And he says, now, class, I want you to think about this for a second. If Vinnie was on the Ed Sullivan Show last night, do you think that he'd be here this morning?
To bask in the glow of his appearance.
But yes, but anyway, so my brother and I was in the same flat. We're on the train going to Coney Island in the middle of winter. And some guy had a transistor radio on the train. You're not allowed to have it, but this guy had it. And he's got WABC on. And, those were the years when we know every word to every song.
Sure.
You could tell us every song in the top 100. We knew every word to them. Well, most of them at least. And so She'd Rather Be With Me comes on. And as you know, it's a bawdy barroom ballad. Not ballad, a bawdy barroom, what would you call it? An upbeat, dancing song almost. It's like some girls love to ba 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 ba. It's like a beer hall song.
Right.
So Freddie and I get up in the train, and the train's not full of people, but it's just enough people, and we put our arms around each other like line dancers, and we start doing the Rockettes in the train. And 2 or 3 people get up in the train and they join us. And so we're ba 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 ba. She'd rather be with, and we're dancing in the subway train. We're 2 schmunky kids, 12 years old. What the fuck do we know?
You know how to get on the Sullivan Show. That's what you know.
Yeah, we know. we know, and it's so anyway. So that moment stuck with me all these years. Many years later, I got to meet Mark Volman and sit down and talk to him. And he was a fascinating guy. I mean, not only was he a performer, but he was a professor of music, and a guy who always had time to talk to people. He was interested in people, or so it seemed. And I told him, I said, you're not going to believe this, but let me tell you this quick story. Blah, 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 blah. I told him the story about the Ed Sullivan show. And he thought it was hilarious. He laughed. He said, that's one of the funniest things I've ever heard. And I don't think they think an 11-year-old kid was you. But anyway, they did. And just a huge talent. I mean, and an underrated talent. Unless you watched 200 Motels, unless you like Zappa in the 70s, after, kind of the second iteration of the Mothers of Invention, the one that was at Montreux.
And listen to some of the Flo and Eddie solo albums. They're well known.
And the Flo and Eddie solo albums, which are, they're not commercial albums, but they're definitely worth listening to. They're definitely worth going on YouTube and finding them and listening to them.
Definitely.
Or I don't know if any of the music services have them, but they're just their antics on stage. The other piece of I'll say about Flo and Eddie, and I didn't see this. I wasn't there. I would have loved to have been there. But in 71, the Mothers of Invention were at the Fillmore East. As you know, I used to hang out at the Fillmore East. That was one of the places that I could sneak in as a kid. Until Bill Graham said to me, "Why you sneak? Just go. Just go." And the Mothers of Invention, did I forget, it was maybe 3 or 4 nights of shows at the Fillmore East, and John and Yoko showed up for one of the shows, and they got up on a jam session, and they got on stage, John and Yoko and Howard Kalin and Mark Volman are on stage with them. And Volman comes out with this garbage bag. And he puts the garbage bag over Yoko Ono while she's singing.
Well, she was famous for performing in the bag earlier in her career.
And I guess, I don't know, John got upset about it, although I guess I was reading or saw, I forget, that she actually orchestrated it with him. But, I mean, I give Kalin points just for putting Yoko in the bag. I don't know if he shut her up, but he did a public service.
No doubt she did her solo.
Oh, my God. Is there anything worse that you've ever heard than Yoko Ono singing?
Well, it can't be described as singing. She made noise.
Yeah.
But it was not vocalizing.
I respect her because she's John Lennon's wife, and I respect her because she seems to have handled his death.
I had her as a guest on The City. She was a good guest.
Yeah, I bet you she was. I bet you just talking to her. Yeah. And I've never met her, but I bet you just sitting down and talking to her, she's got some stories.
Yeah.
She's got some stories.
She was up and into it.
Yeah, I'll bet you. She probably loves telling people.
I would love to have had Mark Volman on too anytime, but I never did.
I would have too. It's something that I always said I was going to do at some point when I was doing when I did the oldies show on KUSF. I used to do that show from Friday midnight to 3 a.m. I used to have guests on. I always wanted to contact him and get him on his show, and it's just something I never did because we didn't have the facilities to do it. I would have had to come in. It just wasn't on my clock to do it. usually guests had to come in, and they weren't in San Francisco. You know, if they would have been in San Francisco, I would have got them.
Yeah.
But I didn't, you know, I didn't see Flo in it. Now, they may have come to San Francisco before I started in radio, but I didn't know that they were in San Francisco while I was. Anyway, so
I don't think they did a lot of touring as Flo and Eddie.
They did in the 70s. They did in the 70s. Actually, they were almost like they played the bottom line a lot, though. And a lot of just places, you know, they played that New York, Philadelphia, Boston.
Right.
You know, anywhere there was a metro media station, Washington. Any place there was a WMM, you know, or Cleveland probably, because they were, and they had a radio show on, was it 92? What used to be KTU turned into a rock station. And they had an afternoon show for a bunch of years on that station. So a multi-talented, multi-faceted guy who I don't think ever got the credit that he deserved. And he passed early. Well, he passed Friday. Thank God he didn't pass on my birthday. I would have really felt bad. But he was if you go check him out on YouTube. Go on YouTube and see some of his. Go look at the early performances. Don't look at the.
She'd rather be with me and Eleanor. You got to hear
Eleanor.
those.
And can you think of any other rock and roll song that used etc.?
No.
I mean, how brilliant was that?
It was remarkable because it worked.
Yeah, it worked. It was a line you'll never forget. You're my pride and joy, etc. How the hell could you know? Yeah, you couldn't beat it. That's rock and roll, folks. That's rock and roll, and that's our show for a Friday. See you tomorrow morning at 11 for drive time.
See you Monday with a regular show at 10:10.
See you Monday at 10:10 for a regular show, and then it's and then Wednesday, hopefully from the Alani Casino in beautiful Richland, Washington. Oh, the other thing about the Alani, the northernmost In-N-Out burger is but one exit away from the Alani.
These are the facts, folks.
These are things you got to know. You got to know them. The first one in Washington. Hopefully, we'll get up here in one in Seattle soon. And in a month or two, you'll be able to get a hamburger there. Mikey, if the Lord's will and the creek don't rise, I'll see you on Monday. Have a good weekend.
Eleanor G., I think you're swell.
You're my pride and joy, etc. Peace, love, and Manischewitz. God bless all of you, Bill. See you on Monday.
A lot of wine.
Bye-bye. Thank you for listening. We always appreciate it. We'll see you. I'll see you tomorrow. Eleanor G., I think you're swell, and you really suit me well. You're my pride and joy, etc. One more time, Eleanor, can I take the time to